Hey, history lovers! Ever wondered what moments completely changed the world, like the invention of the wheel, or the first time someone put pineapple on pizza? Yeah, we're still debating that one. History is full of these big, messy, world-changing events. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure novel, except we're living with the consequences of choices made thousands of years ago. Today we're diving into 10 historical events that changed the world forever. And trust me, without some of these, life would look very different. We're talking no internet, no pizza delivery, maybe even no pizza. So, if you're ready to explore the moments that made us who we are, you've come to the right place. So buckle up, hit that like button, and let's get started. Imagine this. You're living in a cave, it's freezing, and the only food you have is this giant hunk of raw mammoth meat. Not exactly appetizing, right? That's what life was like before fire. We were basically just really smart squirrels huddled in the dark and hoping for the best. But then, somewhere in Africa, our ancestors did something incredible. They didn't just discover fire, they learned to control it. Fire meant cooked food, which was easier to digest, killed parasites, and honestly just tasted way better. With fire, we had light, which meant protection from predators. We could gather around it and tell stories, which probably led to the first epic tales and maybe even some truly terrible dad jokes. The point is, fire wasn't just a tool, it was a revolution. It changed our biology, our social structures, and it set us on the path to becoming the humans we are today. For most of human history, if you weren't born into a royal family or, weren't a warlord who seized control, you didn't get much say in how things were run. Imagine a world where your only political options were obey or start a very risky rebellion. Not ideal, right? But then came the ancient Greeks, specifically the Athenians. Now Athens wasn't perfect, but they did come up with this radical idea. What if, instead of one person calling all the shots, we let citizens vote on stuff? Thus, democracy was born. The idea that everyday people could have a voice in their government, that was revolutionary. And sure, sometimes democracy can be messy, loud, and confusing, but it's our mess, It's the system that says each voice matters, even if it's just to argue about whether pineapple belongs on pizza. For centuries, the Roman Empire was like that friend who throws the best parties but also maybe has a bit too much power. I mean, they had roads, aqueducts, gladiators. They even had plumbing. They were the ultimate ancient superpower, stretching from Britain all the way to the Middle East. But even empires can crumble. Corruption was rampant, the economy was a mess, and their leadership was basically a revolving door of emperors who were either incompetent, power-hungry, or both. Then there were the barbarian invasions. The Huns, the Goths, the Vandals, who, spoiler alert, lived up to their name. They all took their turn chipping away at the empire. By 476 AD, the party was officially over. The last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed by a Germanic general. And just like that, an empire that had stood for over 1,000 years was no more. Imagine a world without the internet, without cars, without even indoor plumbing. Now imagine a deadly plague sweeping across that world, killing indiscriminately and leaving fear and devastation in its wake. That, my friends, was the Black Death. It started, like many pandemics, with fleas. These fleas lived on rats who hitched rides on trading ships sailing from Asia to Europe. These weren't your cute, Pixar-style rats, these were medieval rats carrying the bubonic plague. And let me tell you, the bubonic plague was not messing around. Symptoms included swollen lymph nodes, fever, chills, and often, a gruesome death. There was no cure, no real understanding of how the disease spread. People were dying in droves, entire villages wiped out. The Black Death reshaped Europe. It killed an estimated 25 million people, about 1/3 of the population at the time. Before the printing press, if you wanted a book, you had two options. Be really, really rich, or find a monk willing to spend years painstakingly copying it by hand. Knowledge was literally a luxury few could afford. Enter Johannes Gutenberg, a German goldsmith with a vision. He combined the existing technology of the screw press with movable type, creating a machine that could crank out copies of documents faster than ever before. It was a game changer. Suddenly, books weren't just for the elite, they were accessible to the masses. It fueled the Renaissance, helped spread the ideas of the Reformation, and made it possible for scientific discoveries to be shared widely. It democratized knowledge, putting power in the hands of the people, not just the privileged few. By the 18th century, Great Britain was kind of like that overbearing parent who still insists on choosing your clothes even though you're like 3,000 miles away. The American colonies were tired of being told what to do, especially when it came to taxes. No taxation without representation became the rallying cry. It wasn't just about taxes, though. The colonists were developing their own identity, their own sense of self-governance. They believed in liberty, in the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and decent tea, of course. So they did what any self-respecting group of revolutionaries would do. They declared independence. The American Revolution wasn't just about one country gaining its freedom. It was about the birth of a new kind of nation, one founded on the ideals of democracy, self-determination, and the idea that all men, and eventually, we hope, all people, are created equal. Picture this. It's the 18th century and life moves at the speed of a horse-drawn carriage. Most things are made by hand, in small workshops by skilled artisans. Then, bam! The Industrial Revolution hits like an express train powered by coal and steam. It began in Britain with the invention of machines like the spinning jenny and the steam engine. These machines could produce goods faster and cheaper than ever before, leading to mass production and the rise of factories. Suddenly, cities were booming, filled with people seeking work in the new factories. But this new world came at a cost. Working conditions in factories were often dangerous and unhealthy, and child labor was rampant. The Industrial Revolution was a time of incredible innovation but also of social upheaval. The first half of the 20th century was marked by two devastating world wars, conflicts so massive, so destructive, that they left scars on the world that are still felt today. These weren't just wars, they were total wars, involving entire populations and reshaping the geopolitical landscape. World War I, triggered by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, was supposed to be the war to end all wars. It wasn't. Instead, it led to the collapse of empires, the rise of totalitarian regimes, and a whole lot of unresolved issues that basically guaranteed a sequel. And a sequel we got. World War II was even more devastating than the first, with atrocities like the Holocaust, the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the deaths of an estimated 40 to 85 million people. But amidst the darkness, there were also stories of incredible courage, resilience, and the fight for freedom. On July 20, 1969, the world held its breath as Neil Armstrong took one small step onto the surface of the moon. It was a moment that transcended borders and ideologies, uniting humanity in a shared sense of wonder and achievement. The space race, fueled by Cold War competition between the United States and the Soviet Union, had pushed the boundaries of science and technology. Rockets were built, astronauts were trained, and the impossible suddenly seemed within reach. The moon landing wasn't just about planting a flag on a celestial body, it was about pushing the limits of human ingenuity. It inspired generations of scientists, engineers, and dreamers, proving that with enough determination, we could achieve anything. From the first clunky computers to the sleek smartphones we carry in our pockets today, the internet has revolutionized the way we live, work, and connect with each other. It's the ultimate tool for information sharing, communication, and of course, cat videos. It started in the 1960s with a network called ARPANET, designed to connect researchers and share information. But it wasn't until the 1990s, with the development of the World Wide Web, that the internet truly exploded into the global phenomenon it is today. Suddenly, we could access information from all over the world, connect with people across continents, and share our thoughts and ideas with a global audience. The internet has democratized information, fueled social movements, and created entirely new industries. And there you have it, 10 historical events that shaped the world. From the discovery of fire to the rise of the internet, these moments have shaped who we are and how we live. Which one do you think was the most important? Let me know in the comments. History is a conversation, and it's up to all of us to keep exploring, questioning, and learning from the past. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with a fellow history buff. See you in the next video.